Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pipe Report. So it's been a while since I did a video, and there's a couple reasons for that. First one is I have been working a lot lately, and the second one is I'm actually working on a novel. Now it's fiction, and it's kind of a mixture of Game of Thrones meets Harry Potter meets Lord of the Rings. It is kind of medieval times with some magic involved, and it's lore, which means it's world building. So I have created a map, I'm still working on the map, but a map of like a medieval, Middle-earth type stage. And I'm coming up with all the names for it, different cities, different kingdoms, and it's a lot of work. I'm doing a lot of research on medieval weapons like the scimitar and the side blade and trying to incorporate that into the novel itself. So I've been really focusing on that. I'm about 20,000 words in. For those who don't know, the average novel is about 100,000 words, which is about 10 to 11 hours long on Audible for audiobooks. Game of Thrones books, they're around 300 to 400,000 words, which is about 35 hours long on audiobooks. So I want to make this into a series. The first book, I'm kind of aiming around, 20 hours. So maybe 200,000 words. So I'm doing a lot of research, I'm spending a lot of time with that. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't really been doing videos. And I've been working a lot, like I said. But anyways, I'm a huge fan of Pink Floyd. Always have been, always was, always will be. And Roger Waters, I covered him once before. He was the bassist and one of the founding members of Pink Floyd. And he is a great lyricist. He is a poet, just a brilliant man. And I covered him months ago when he was talking about the White Helmets and how the White Helmets, they are not true, honest people. They are not an organization with integrity. And I still see that to this day. He's once again calling them out, but he's also calling more people out. He is calling out the regressive left, those in the media, those that are keeping people blind to the truth. And that's what I love about this man, Roger Waters. Now, him and Pink Floyd, they had a falling out with guitarist David Gilmour and Roger Waters actually suing each other. A lot of drama, and a lot of people hate Roger Waters because he is really arrogant. But you cannot deny the man has some cojones, as they call it. I mean, he called out the White Helmets. He said the Syrian chemical gas attack was a false flag, and it was actually covered up by the White Helmets. And now he's calling out the regressive left. Pink Floyd co-founder Roger Waters has taken aim at decades of neoliberalism in the West. Speaking to RT's Sophie Coe, he said government propaganda in the media has left viewers asleep and uncomfortable to see anything real. And that is one of the main purposes of my channel, is trying to get people to think outside the box, to try to talk about news in a way they don't hear from the corporate media, because the corporate media has their own ways to spin things. You have Fox News that spins it to the right. You have corporate left outlets that spin it to the left. But for the most part, they all serve the same master. And all their news, they're confirmation biases. They're organization biases. So it's really good to actually get your news elsewhere. And I'm glad somebody as famous as Roger Waters is calling them out. I'm glad someone as famous as Roger Waters is still speaking up about the falsehoods we are experiencing on our day-to-day lives. Now, many people, especially in the newer generation, they haven't heard of Roger Waters, and sadly, many of them probably haven't heard of Pink Floyd. If you have, I highly recommend, or if you haven't, I highly recommend you checking them out. You might not like the music, but just listen to the lyrics, if anything. But either way, Roger Waters does have a huge following, especially in the UK. And somebody with his stature calling things out like the way he is, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty brave of him, and it actually makes me very happy. He could be one of those people we see. One of those people in Hollywood that buys into the regressive left tactics, that buys into the neo-Marxist agenda. He could be just like them, because a lot of musicians are. The most popular one is Katy Perry. She has the most Twitter views out of any other musician, and she is a stooge for Hillary Clinton and the regressive left. But Roger Waters isn't. He calls them out, and he actually calls out both sides. It's not like he's this right-wing lunatic that only calls out the left. No, he calls out the right as well. He calls out anyone that's trying to hide the truth. And that is why I was very happy when he called out the Syrian chemical gas attack, when he said it was a false flag. But here's what he said. When it came to conflicts like the Syrian civil war and boycott, divestment, and sanctions BDS movement against Israel, Pink Floyd's former frontman said that those who say he should stick to music were sleepwalking when it came to conflicts like the Syrian civil war and the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. Because they're asleep. Because they're the victims of neoliberalism that Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher brought to the world, Waters said. Neoliberalism, pervasiveness though, Western culture and politics, in Waters' view, has left many people with the inability to see and accept anything critical to the mainstream narrative. Part of the way it works is to anesthetize people and almost make it uncomfortable for people to see anything real. For Waters, the root of this antipathy, in the US at least, lies in part from its poorly funded public education system. In Waters' view, the reason for this lies in the political establishment's desire to keep an ignorant and compliant population. They want to keep the electorate ignorant and mindless and unthinking and malleable and pliable and very open to the use of consumerism and propaganda to keep them under control, to maintain the Orwellian notion of the sheep and whatever. Mainstream media consumption is another factor given by Waters for this outlook, citing the scripted, carefully shot documentary on the White Helmets and the group's dubious claims of a Syrian government gas attack in the city of Douma. Waters said that mainstream media isn't interested in telling you anything about anything. Well said. You know, it's so obvious now that CNN and all of them are all the same, from MSNBC to Fox and everything in between, he said after pointing out the lack of coverage in the West after an Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons report found no evidence of chemical weapons in Douma. Their narrative is that there was a chemical attack and the White Helmets are wonderful. One U.S. channel to escape Waters was Discovery, describing it as the one little piece of TV in the United States where you can occasionally get a glimpse of reality of what it's like to be human. The rest is just propaganda. And right there. How many of you heard that once again, for the second time in as many years, there have been no evidence of chemical weapons? We bombed Syria twice. And both times, neither incidents could be proven that chemical weapons were used. It's like we want to bomb first, ask questions later. But when we finally get the answers to those questions that we ask later, all of a sudden we don't care anymore. We don't care. And it's funny too because the corporate left media hates Trump. They hate Trump. So you would think they would be jumping on him about this. Trump bombed Syria. Look at no chemical weapons attack even happened there. Trump's just a war hawk. He's a crazy warmongering fool. But no, they're even being quiet about it. What does that tell you? That tells you that despite them kind of denigrating each other, the corporate right and the corporate left, they have the same goal. They all like war. They all believe in nothing but profit. They're corporatists and plutocrats, and they're keeping people blind to the truth. So I salute anyone that talks about the truth. I salute anyone that discusses things that the mainstream media doesn't, because that is what we need. People need to be woken up, and I applaud anyone who takes a step in that direction. And I'm done.